my question to you is, can you have a boundary without losing people in your life?
No, because not everybody is going to respect the boundary. Mm-hmm. So when people don't respect the boundary, then you're not a part of my life. Right? Welcome to Thoughts in a Glass podcast. I'm LaToya.
I'm Kendra.
And this is a weekly podcast where we dive into the depths of life, love, and all things hilariously funny.
So grab your drink, sit back, relax, and join us as we go through all of our different topics. So we've started something new this time. We got more of an agenda, so we hope that you guys, we listened to some of your feedback on some of the things that you did like, some of the things you didn't like, so we're going to try to incorporate it as much as we can. So continue to work with us, and I hope you've been enjoying, because we're on episode 5.
Yep.
Look at us.
Consistency. Period.
Consistency. So again, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, all of the things. Hit the notification bells, bing, 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 and let's get into the show.
So, if you're new here, every episode we start off with a drink of the night. So, Kendra, what is the drink tonight?
So, today's drink, or the drink of the night, is going to be a mimosa. Something quick and easy. I think everybody loves some brunch. Me down. So, pretty easy. We have a half a glass of orange juice. That's what we're going to start off with. And then we're going to kind of fill it almost to the top with your champs. And then for me, I like it a little bit sweet, so I add a little bit of peach schnapps. Now, you don't have to do that. And you can use different type of champagne. You have your Brutes, which, and then you have your Prosecco. Barefoot has a bubbly. Anything that gives bubbles can give you a good mimosa. You could do your sparkling wines if you would prefer that instead of the champagne. And that's about it. So grab a glass. All of the ingredients will be in the description box. And pause, make your drink, and join us again.
Cheers to that. It's good. So we've been doing this series for the month of February where we have a Black History fact, and the theme is Blacks in the arts. And so to round out Black History Month, because I think this will be the last episode for February, our fact this week is the first famous Black painter, Henry Ossawa Tanner. I hope I'm saying that right. Henry was born June 21st, 1859. He passed May 25th, 1939. He was an American artist who spent much of his career in France. He became the first African-American painter to gain international acclaim. So, I mean, he wasn't the first painter, but he was one of the first ones to become internationally famous for his work. He was the only Black student at the time to study at the Pennsylvania Academy of the Fine Arts in Philadelphia. And then he later went on to study in Paris. His most famous work is The Banjo Lesson from 1893. And so it's a painting that shows a grandfather passing on creative knowledge to his grandson. And it displays a tender moment of human interaction. So if I can, I'll try to drop the painting in if I can. But that was super interesting. Yeah. I had never heard of him before.
I know. I think that unless you're in that creative field, you don't really get an opportunity to learn about these different Black history
like people. Yeah.
So super interesting. Take an opportunity to check out some of his paintings and teach somebody else something new. So one of the things I've done over the weekend, or like a couple weekends ago, I had mentioned, I think in a previous podcast, that I wanted to see The Beekeeper.
Oh yeah, did you see it,
ma'am? Saw The Beekeeper. First of all, phenomenal.
It was good.
Phenomenal movie.
So after you said that, my husband was like, "Oh yeah, I want to see it," but he also loves any type of Jason Statham type of thing.
Girl, when I say phenomenal, it was a really good movie. I think that I give it 5 stars. What did little people on in Living Color used to say?
I don't know.
Oh, child, I can't remember that. Y'all remember Living Color when he had the little pieces of hair. Anyway, I saw that. That was a really good movie. I definitely 10 out of 10.
Recommend.
Would see again.
Oh, would see again.
And definitely recommend. So I was thinking about actually buying it this evening. And watching it with D. So.
Did you actually see it in the movie theaters?
I did. So Jayla wanted to go to the movies with one of her little friends, and I don't like having to leave and then come back, like drop her off, leave, then turn right. By the time I get home, get comfortable, I'm turning right back around to pick her up because she went to go see The Color Purple. So my movie, The Color Purple was about maybe like 2 hours 25 minutes, and the my movie was like an hour 45. So mine started around 7:30. So I went ahead and I got tickets for Jonathan and I. So we went to see that. Now Jonathan was underneath his jacket the whole time. He said, "Well, why are they killing like this? What's up with the blood?"
I think he maybe take out his mother in that way.
He said surprises.
He's scared. He was scared.
Said, "Can we go? Can we leave? Where is
they?" It was too violent.
It was too violent. And I was in it. So have you seen anything new? Is there anything that you...
I did. So this past week, I got into the Mr. and Mrs. Smith that was on Prime.
Yeah.
At first, when I saw it, I was like, Donald Glover. I don't know how this is going to go.
This is America.
Right. But actually, so I was surprised in a good way. It was pretty good to me. Now, this is what I'll say. If you were a fan of the Mr. and Mrs. Smith movie and you were in it for the action, this one is not as high on the action scale. Okay. They do have some action scenes, but it's not as high on the action as the movie. Okay. This one, what I actually liked about this one was they humanized the characters, which I appreciated. Because like we talked about before, some of that unrealistic stuff, it's kind of like, it's unbelievable. Right. Like, people are shooting at you and you're dodging bullets and you know, coming out, you know, like you said,
you the Rock and you holding down the damn helicopter.
Yeah. So some of that stuff it makes it so like unbelievable. So in this one, they, without giving any spoilers, they get into a little bit more of the relationship of Mr. and Mrs. Smith and kind of how they interact with each other and what are some of the issues and things that they have in that dynamic of that world. The other big difference with this one is they are working together. Right. So in the movie, they were working for different companies and they had just going after each other at some point and kind of living this lie. And this one, they're working together, so they know that both of them are secret agents. They're working together for the same company, but you still have that layer of deceit, like what's truth and what's lie. And so they had their trust issues. They kind of really don't want to open up to each other, but they have to a certain extent to work together. And so this TV series gets more into the relationship dynamic, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Like it was a little bit of, okay, this is unrealistic, you know, in a sense of like, they're just running down the streets of New York, you know, chasing after people and shooting people and stuff like that. Some of that stuff was like, okay,
where's the federales?
Yeah. But I did like I did like them getting into the relationship stuff and like really going deep into that. And by the end of it, you know, after watching the whole thing, by the end, I was convinced. Donald Glover's performance convinced me at the end. I love the way he put his own spin on the character. He's not Brad Pitt. And he wasn't trying to be.
Correct.
he put his own spin on the character.
Okay.
I also like about this, and they did this in the movie too, but the TV show, they definitely brought some comedy to it. So there were some funny moments. They literally were making jokes, and I just enjoyed it. So I recommend it. I recommend, but it also depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for
action,
it's not. This is actually a great TV show that could be like a you and your boo, because I think it gives something for kind of the women that we want to get into the drama, but then it also gives the action for the guys that want to get into the action. So I would recommend it. Something to watch, maybe after work during the week.
Okay.
But yeah, so yeah.
Well, cool. So that's good. I'm glad that we are both getting into, because I used to love going to the movies and I haven't been going. So that's pretty awesome. So, question for you. We are now almost tomorrow. So it is leap year. So tomorrow's the 29th. But the 1st of March will be on
this
Friday.
Coming weekend. Yeah.
Yes. So, do you have first of all, do you have a New Year's resolution? And if so, have you been sticking to it?
You know what's funny? I kind of don't even remember like what I said my New Year's resolutions were. But I kind of do, but I kind of don't, if that makes sense. So I think I said that I wanted to work on boundary setting, because that's been a thing for me. I do believe I have been doing that. I'm trying to think, what else did I say I wanted to do this year? I've been wanting to work on like my health, as far as like drinking more water, eating a little bit healthier, things like that. Haven't been doing that. So. My problem is this. Do you remember those that meme that was going around, or like it was a sound that was going around that was like, if you ask me to go to brunch, I'm always ready? That's me. Like,
'cause why not?
Yeah, but then it's like, but you're supposed to be eating healthy. So I want to try all these new restaurants, but at the same time, I'm also supposed to be eating healthy. So I don't know. I've been eating salads. So I've been eating salads for lunch consistently. Like I've been buying like the big thing of mixed greens and like making my salads for lunch. So I've been consistent with that. But it's the other meals though that are not so great. So I got to work on that. But I whatever. I'm not making no promises. Like,
I get it. Listen.
Because if I want a steak,
eat you a steak. Because you know what? You only got one life to live. And I know people say, okay, in that life you should have a healthy body. But let me explain something to you. I go to work every day. I take care of my family. I do all the things that I'm supposed to do. I show up. I have my spiritual relationship with the Lord. I've done these things.
Yeah.
And if I want a Cinnabon, I'm going to get me a Cinnabon.
That's the thing. And then like they opened a crumble cookie down here where I'm at. So there have been some challenges in that area. Listen, but the goal is to kind of get, it's to kind of get it to a happy medium.
The moment I say I'm not doing something, my body's like, you better get it and get it now. I have not wanted a Cinnabon for I don't know how long. But the moment I say I'm going to start eating healthy, I'm going to cut back on sweets, it's like, oh, you know what I could really go for?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, stop telling yourself you can't have. Just do everything in moderation. And then once you do that, more often than not, I know for me, then it's not a craving.
Yeah.
Because my issue is telling myself no, or hearing the word no. I want to do it more, and I want it more. So, but I can understand. Yeah.
So that, and then I believe I had told myself I wanted to save up some money this year.
Okay.
Also not doing good on that.
Okay.
But it's not my fault.
Okay.
Because shit be happening.
Life happens.
I mean, literally from like having to have my car repaired, just shit, like stuff be happening. So I haven't. So basically, what I'm saying is,
so the beginning of the year is slow.
Yeah, I need a reset.
But you know, the momentum is coming because the fact is that you know what you need to do.
Yeah.
It'd be one thing if you was like, I'm all over the place, but I feel as if since you know what you need to do, it's like, I'll get there.
Yeah.
It's just a slow walk into it.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
One of the things I've realized though, because I used to do vision board parties, but I would do mine in like November. To get a full gauge of being able to get things going for that next year, whatever your resolution is, you have to start the year before. Because if you start on that year, it takes that time to get the...
It basically takes half the year to get started.
Yeah. So if you start in November, okay, this is what I want to do, and you start making... So November is your planning time. December, you're really trying to cut back on how many gifts you get. Like, you start... So by January, February, you're now fully kind of committed to it because you've already started it. So that's my suggestion. If you have a resolution to do it, start it as early as possible in the end of that year, because they always say the way that you end a year is how you
start a year.
So.
And I actually did do a vision board this year, but on my vision board I put like travel and
all the stuff that's gonna cost you money.
Yeah, I did all of that because I was just trying to manifest that lifestyle, right? So I may need to go back and take a look at my vision board and compare that with my resolutions and kind of
see what make sure it
have some cohesiveness in between those two. So yeah, I mean, thanks for calling me out on not having my shit together.
I just want to know, because I know for me, one of my resolutions was to do more self-care, and saving money, and what was my last one? I'll be talking about losing weight, whatever. But then my main one, the one that I want to commit to moving forward out of the new year, but just a life resolution, is to really start setting boundaries.
Oh yeah.
And to only allow people in my space that I feel that are worthy of that. And understanding that saying that someone's worthy or not worthy of being in your space does not make you like bougie or you think you all that. It's just protecting your peace.
Yeah.
Right? And so I did start in 2023, slowly but surely kind of moving into that. And so now it's been a pleasure to only be around people that I enjoy being around. And just because I always say, and I think I said this in the very first episode when we were talking about like friendships and stuff, just because I don't talk to you doesn't mean I have a beef with you.
Yeah.
Right? It just means that in the space that I'm in, you may not be the person that I need to be with regularly, because you may not be propelling me forward.
Absolutely.
I may feel that I'm giving more to you than you're giving to me. And I know that in relationships you have those ups and downs. I always say most relationships are a seesaw, right? Somebody can be down, that means somebody else is up, vice versa. Or you both got your feet planted on the ground and everything is equal. But when I've gotten to a point where I feel like I'm giving more of my feet are on the ground and you up here, and I don't get the opportunity to
kind of toggle back with you. Yeah.
I'm just kind of like, you having all the fun.
Yeah.
Because being up here means that you swinging your feet and you yelling out. That means I have to be the one that's grounded, that's planted, that's being responsible. Absolutely. Going on, so you could talk to me about how much fun you're having, or how scared you are, or the bad things that are happening. So one of the things I definitely said was that I wanted to start setting boundaries and feeling as if making sure that I understand that that's okay.
Yeah.
Right. So one of the things that I also am really into now is working on how to understand that I am not just a mother and in a relationship, and like figuring out who Kendra is outside of all of that. I think I mentioned that before, but really getting into who are you outside of your relationship, because you get so bogged down with what everybody else has going on that you're looking crazy. So,
would you say that's like one of your resolutions, or that's just a general theme for your life? Yeah.
Like, this is what you need to be doing. Yeah. And this is to make it my new year resolution means this is what you need to focus on this year, because if you don't, you will never focus on it. So you have, I feel like this is implementing, just like when people say, I'm gonna lose weight. That's what the resolution is for that year. But I think they also implant it in, this is what I want to do for my life.
Yeah.
Because your resolution is not just supposed to be for that year.
Absolutely.
It's supposed to be what you're focused on to move forward at that, at that time. So, but to go, so I know you've seen all of this bull on Reese's.
I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't even gonna do it. I was like, I don't be getting into that.
Okay.
But people have been talking about it so much.
I mean, she took over and is still taking over the internet. And it's been almost like 2 weeks.
So I went down the rabbit hole. Okay. I watched all 50 videos on like double speed because
she can hold a note.
Okay. And so so I'm caught up. I watched everything. Oh, all right, I listened to it. And I'm gonna be honest, I feel like everything that needs to be said about it has been said.
Yeah, I think, and so I don't want to use this episode to really kind of go into it. I preface it or brung that up to say, kind of piggybacking off of why this is more of my life resolution, set some goddamn boundaries.
True. Because it's hard though.
And so that was my thing. And we'll kind of touch on it. Some of the things like, how do you let somebody move in 2 weeks after you know them? And that's the thing. When you set a boundary, and also being happy being with yourself. Mm-hmm. When COVID happened and people are like, I don't want to be locked down by myself. That's because you're not happy being by yourself. Mm-hmm. So if you're not happy being by yourself, you willing to break a boundary. And she talked about religion. I'm gonna let this man move in with me because I want to so badly be with someone and I can't be by myself.
I mean, as an extroverted person, I get that though. Like, I don't even like to be home by myself for too many days because I just feel like not lonely, but I like being around people. Right. So I can feel that lack of interaction. Right. It's kind of like I kind of get a little stir crazy because it's like, wait a minute, I haven't physically seen a person. I haven't shared space with a person. So, I mean, thankfully, luckily, I had family and friends, you know what I mean, that I could lean on in a situation like that. But, and I don't know if this is what the frame of mind she was in, but just putting myself in her shoes. I could understand the feeling of one, already being single, so you don't have a partner. You don't even have like a little side piece. 2, now you're kind of faced with the reality that I may not interact with another person for an extended period of time. And you have that newness of a relationship, that excitement of a new relationship. It's kind of like, man, if we quarantine in different places, that dopamine hit of being around a person for the first time is going to completely plummet.
But hindsight is 2020. No pun intended. Why is it? Because I know when we were on lockdown, I was still outside.
Me too, to a certain extent.
Going to the grocery store, maybe not necessarily going out to eat, but if you can go to the grocery store, if you and your partner, and again, thinking about it, but this is also setting a boundary.
Yes.
If in your religion you saying, I'm never going to live with somebody because until I'm married, why couldn't you say, okay, well, you stay at your place, I'll stay at my place. We'll both quarantine, so when we want to see each other, we can go over each other's home. Exactly. Right?
Because so, I'm not being around anybody, you're not being around anybody, so we should be safe.
So we should be safe enough to visit each other.
Exactly.
Right? It doesn't mean that you have to be in my home, right? So boundary there, that you used the pandemic as an excuse.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's number one. And it's, again, hindsight is 2020. This is how I would operate. I'm still wanting to have my peace though. You know, you've met somebody, it's 2 weeks. And she mentioned that she was dumb in some of the things that she has allowed to happen. But you kind of open up your home to a complete stranger. Then going to, you know, so again, you have this boundary. I don't want to live with somebody out of wedlock. I don't want to have a baby out of wedlock, and then you end up pregnant. So all of these things, and I was having a conversation with one of my girlfriends, and I hate to be this person, but I'm just gonna listen. I'm gonna stand up in it, and I'm gonna stand 10 toes down. If you are talking to me about your religion and you are 10 toes down in it, be 10 toes down in it. Because your boundaries, soon as you're lonely, all of that religion goes out the window.
Right.
Because he might have been living in your house that you didn't have to have sex with him, but it was a choice.
Or you pick and choose what parts of it you want to hold on to, because you relax your boundaries when it comes to shacking up. You relax your boundaries when it comes to having sex before marriage, but then you hold a firm boundary into God's not going to forgive me if I get a divorce.
Exactly.
So it's almost like you're picking and choosing which one of these things
applies to you today that I want to abide by,
or justifies my actions,
right, to make me feel better, right? And so my question to you is, with her situation, I think I know for her, if you ask her, maybe the person she was, why didn't you set a boundary? From what she said, I believe her answer would be because I would have lost this person.
Mm-hmm.
And so my question to you is, can you have a boundary without losing people in your life?
No, because not everybody is going to respect the boundary. Mm-hmm. So when people don't respect the boundary, then either, you know, then you're not a part of my life. Right. Because the other part of that is, if you don't respect the boundary, then that puts me in a position where I either have to cut off the connection with you, or I have to compromise my boundary. So if I'm somebody that's not willing to compromise that boundary, then you have to go. Like, there is no other option. Or you have to change. But if you were going to respect me, we wouldn't be having this conversation. So, I mean, sadly, yes.
So then my question is, so if you set these boundaries, because I agree to an extent, right? I think that the people that you set a boundary with, or when you, not even the people, when you set your boundaries of what you need for how you need to be treated, the people that love and care for you will respect it. But then also, because I mean, it's very difficult to go from us having this certain type of friendship, like saying, you know, all of a sudden we out to eat all the time, we doing this, that, and the full, and then every time we go out, now you're saying, oh, you know, I'm now a vegan, right? And I know that's very superficial, but now it's like, okay, now we have to, for one person, choose a different restaurant that has these options, or we can't do what we usually do because we have to consider your now new boundary, right? So I think that there should be of course, some type of conversation and explaining, especially, and I think I saw this on like maybe TikTok or Instagram, where when someone gives you their boundary, that means they love you enough to tell you how they need to be loved.
Absolutely.
And if someone's telling you that, it is up to you as their friend to receive it, understand it, and move in a way that they need you, because it just helps that person be a better friend or lover or whatever.
Absolutely.
In the relationship.
What I think though is that people don't understand what a boundary is.
Okay.
At least in my experience, this is what I have found. Because you have people say, you know, oh, if I'm not going to let a dude do this to me, or I'm not going to let a person do that to me, that's my boundary. Well, actually, that's not a boundary. A boundary is speaking for yourself. Here is what I don't want to see happen, and here's what I'm going to do if it does happen. Right. I think that is where people kind of get it mixed up. It's not, you know, I don't like you talking to me like this. You can't change how I talk. Right. The only thing you can do is say, hey.
And how you're going to be present within that conversation.
Exactly. I may not have long conversations with you because I don't like the way you talk. That's you doing your own action because you don't like something. Right. But I do think people get it. I just think sometimes we use a lot of words, narcissism, boundaries, we just use a lot of words, and people don't understand what those words mean. I think when you're setting your own personal boundaries, it has to do with your personal feelings, your accountability, and how you are going to show up, because you can't change other people.
Right.
The people are going to do whatever they want to do. Right. How are you going to respond?
Right. And I think so. I watched this young lady. Let me tell you, you're gonna hear a lot of stuff about TikTok and Instagram because I be on it. Okay, or I'm scrolling. But she was in, and I can't remember the person's name, but she was in a relationship, and in the beginning of the relationship, she kind of was like, "Hey, I don't do well with people ignoring me."
I saw that. Right? Mm-hmm.
I don't do well with men ignoring me. Mm-hmm. If you have a problem, let me know. Tell me you need space, and we're cool. Mm-hmm. Relationship's going fine. 2 months later, they got into an argument or something like that. She ends up going home, whatever. The next day, she's calling, no answer. Now, and he also said, "Well, I don't like being ignored either, so I won't do that." So the next day, she's calling after the argument. He's not answering the phone. She's sending text messages. He's not responding, and she doesn't go to, "Oh my God, he's cheating on me." It's like, "Oh my God, he's somewhere in a ditch. You lie to me, you're gonna be dead, or you're gonna kill me." That's so she's at my level of, if I can't get in touch with you, my first instinct is not that you're cheating. My first instinct is that you got pulled over, you were in an accident.
Yep.
You down somewhere in a ditch and somebody then shot you up.
Yep.
Right. So later on that evening, he finally calls her and says, "Hey, I want to apologize first for not reaching out, and also realizing that the argument wasn't as bad as I thought it was. So just wanted to apologize for that." And she said, "Okay, I accept your apology, and I hope your life goes well." And he's like, what are you talking about?" And she's like, "Exactly what I said. Because I told you in the beginning of this that I don't do well with people ignoring me. And the fact that you did that, I told you that I was not going to continue a relationship with someone like that." And then he like, "Well, what do you I think you get dragging it. It's you going overboard, this, that, and forth." And so she said that if she did not stand on what she said, what was the point of having that conversation?
Yep.
What was the point of saying, "This is my boundary. This is something that I need from my partner."
Yep.
And then saying, she said, "I did not want to leave him. Like, the relationship was good. Everything was good. I just could not continue when I said I was not going to. That's the only way I could take care of myself."
Yep.
If I say I'm not going to do something, it would behoove me, for the best interest of me, to stand on business.
Yep.
So one of the things with the Risa Tisa situation, a lot of stuff that she said, it's like, why as women, or why are we so afraid to lose somebody that we're willing to change how we take care of ourselves? Because ain't nobody gonna take care of you better than you.
I think it's desperation. I think it's a level of just wanting to be with somebody so bad. I also think it's there is some low self-esteem there.
Yeah.
And maybe even some messages, like media messages of, there's not that many good men out there. Listen. Like internalizing all of those messages. And so you starting to feel like, if I have if I'm just getting a piece of a good man,
that's better than nothing.
Yeah. Or I'm compromising my boundaries to stay with him because what else is, and even past experiences, like if you've been with trash dude after trash dude after trash dude, and then you get with somebody that's
paying your bill
and somewhat decent, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
from
from the outside looking in, checking those boxes, I think we can almost lie to ourselves on top of what deceit we may be receiving from that other person, you kind of lie to yourself a little bit because you want it so bad. And, you know, like you said, he is paying your bills. He is being so charming. He's checking off a lot of the boxes. And so you almost kind of, like she said, turned a blind eye to.
And it's intoxicating to find someone that everybody says you're not going to find.
Yeah.
Because especially for African American women, we are definitely told all the time, you ain't gonna find a good man. Every time we bring up, well, he's not doing such and such, well, at least, it's always at least he's. And it's like, well, if I'm requiring this, why is it at least? If it's your preference to not date outside of your culture, I understand that. That's your business. But if that's something that you're not willing to do, you have to have a real conversation with yourself and say, I may be alone. And also taking the opportunity to learning how to love yourself outside of being in a relationship, because there's more Black women especially that are not married. Married. So one of the things you'll have to do is mourn that vision of when you were a child of getting married, having the kids, this and the fourth, and figure out another way to make the life of what you want. So if you want to have kids, baby, there's plenty of ways to have a couple babies. If you want to be in a relationship but not get married, because I'm just, in my own opinion, as of today, right now, marriage is not something that is the end all be all for me. Right? If I have a partner who is helping me with my children, helping me with my bills, that I can have a conversation with, that I'm best friend with, if it checks off all of the boxes outside of we are not married through the state of wherever we're living, does marriage now mean so much that I would be willing to leave that relationship?
I think the thing that people forget too, in terms of that specifically, is that we were not always, as a people, African Americans, we were not always allowed to have that, right? And I am one who believes in the institution of marriage and getting those licenses if that's what you want to do. Right. But I would also say this. Our ancestors they were not allowed to get marriage licenses. Right. So does that validate or does that take away the validation of their marriage? Right. Because if you're a slave and I'm a slave and we decide we're going to be in a committed relationship and we have kids together and we do whatever we're going to do, that if that is our agreement between those two people and God, to me, that's still a legitimate marriage, whether it has a signed document to it or not. Right.
That allows you to vow together.
Right. So I agree with you in the sense of, if this is a conversation that we've had and we decided we're going to be committed to each other and, you know, we want to be in partnership, that's still a marriage. Right. It may not have paperwork, but it's still a marriage. Right. But if you do want that paperwork, I wouldn't change, like, because I feel like a lot of women are in this situation. You have a man that's saying, I want to be with you, but I don't want to get married, right? And you have a woman that's saying, but I want marriage, like I want the license. Then that's still a question that you have to answer concerning your own boundaries. Right. If the license is what you want, and he's not willing to budge on that, what other things would he not be willing to budge on that you would end up having to compromise on? Because because it's so sad that we have taken things that could really be so simple and we've made them complicated. Right. But what we'll find is a lot of times people, and I'm not going to say men because women do it too, people take advantage of that. I find out that the reason why you didn't want to get married is because you still married to somebody else. Right.
Or the reason seen that, been there.
Or the reason that you didn't want to get married is because you got something going on, you got a record, or you got something. So it's not about the paper, but you're using that as an excuse because you're trying to hide something. Right.
But you can have it on both ways.
You can.
Because you can be with someone who's like, oh yes, I'm down for getting married. Let's get married. you end up marrying someone who's a narcissist.
Right. I mean, right.
Completely to you, right?
Just like Reese's situation, right? He said that when they first started talking, he's all about marriage. He wants to get married. And he even admitted to her, I knew that if I didn't marry you, I couldn't keep you around.
Right. You would not continue to be my girlfriend because he's a liar. Right. So it's a gamble either way. But I tell you what she said that struck a nerve when she went 3 days and changed her name and couldn't change it back.
Right. So that actually is something that I don't think a lot of people are aware of. It is much harder to change your name back than it is to actually and it's a hard process to change your name in the first place, but it's actually harder to change it back.
Also, for me, the negative connotation that was put on marriage in the beginning, Mrs. is just basically belonging to him. I'm not. I have, and again, I'm not knocking anybody who does it, but I have my own identity, and I know for me it's a little different because all of my children have my last name, and if not fully my last name is hyphenated, right? And so that's a part of me. I've been my last name for a very long time, and I just don't see
for your whole life,
and I don't want to be put in a situation where I have to jump through hoops and fight somebody to get my name back.
But I'm just bringing that up to say we kind of feed into certain things without knowing what's the reason why we doing it, and then we get down a rabbit hole and we're trying to get out of it, and you done went down this path not even knowing why you were down this path,
and now you're looking crazy.
And
now you're looking crazy. So but I think I think we can go into this maybe at a later date because boundaries always fluctuate. But also having boundaries with family.
To me, that's the hardest one.
Child.
For me, this is just my personal experience. When it comes to men and when it comes to friends, I have never really had a big issue kind of setting firm boundaries.
Right. Should cut them loose for you.
But when it comes to family, though, that's a hard one for me. And I know it, so like when I hear Risa saying how she did certain things, I maybe don't fully understand it when it comes to a man that you just met, but I have definitely let my family do some things that I know,
you would not go for if it was somebody else.
I wouldn't.
Right.
But because it's that family,
And so that's the question. So then we revisit, do you not set boundaries with family because you're afraid of losing them?
I don't know if it's because I'm afraid of losing them, because with family, it's kind of like whether we fuss, argue, whatever, you're always going to be my mother, father, sister, brother, whatever, right? We always going to have that title. I think it's more of guilt for me that I feel like if I didn't do something for you, does that make me a bad person? Or if I didn't allow you to take advantage of me, for lack of a better phrase, does that make me a bad person?
And I can understand that part, but then is the obligation because we're family? Because I also look at it as there are people that do set boundaries with their family and they don't talk to their family. We can still be sisters.
Right.
That's still my sister, but that doesn't mean that I talk to my sister. That doesn't mean I speak to my father. So does that mean that and this is just a throwing out question that not really asking you for an answer.
Yeah.
But if you set this boundary and say, hey, I'm no longer accepting this, and they cannot respect that. Are you willing to not call them anymore, not answer their phone calls anymore, and say, hey, I told you I don't like this, and until you can respect that, I don't think we need to be having a conversation. I'm not inviting you to the next get together. We don't need to hang out. Are you willing? And do you do more of? And this is just again
a hypothetical.
Also for you all, a food for thought is setting boundaries. And losing a friend is one thing, right? You can meet more people. It's billions of people in this world, but the familial connection that you have, it's a possibility of you setting a standard of how you want to be treated, and that family member saying, I don't care. and using I'm your mom, so no matter what you say, I'm still going to do what I want to do because I'm the parent. Or how you gonna treat me like that because I'm your sister?
Right.
And is that unwarranted or it could be the not necessarily wanting to guilt trip you or wanting to guilt trip you cause you to say, okay, I'm not even going to set a boundary because I know for me, I won't stick to it.
I definitely think, for me personally, I definitely think it's a lot of that. Like, I'm not even going to set a boundary because I know I'm not going to stick to it. But this is just me personally. That lack of boundary goes both ways. Okay. And so, if I'm just being completely transparent, I have been in situations where I enjoyed, it was to my benefit that there were no boundaries there. Right. And so, when I began to put the mirror back on myself to say, okay, well, just to give a loose example, my family is a kind of family where we have a doors always open policy. So I could pop up on, a cousin and what y'all doing? I'm outside. Yeah. And so we have been like that with each other. I've done it and it's been done to me. But now, that I'm married and I'm sharing this home with my husband and he doesn't really care for that. Now I have to say, can y'all text me first? But then the guilt is this. I don't want to text. I'm so used to popping up on y'all the same way that y'all have popped up on me in the past. Then now that I'm asking y'all to text me first, that applies to me too. Now I have to text first before I show up at somebody's house.
Not necessarily, right? Because we have to remember the accountability is our accountability, right? So if you're saying, hey, I'm now married, I am united with someone else, and I have to respect my household, that's one thing. As if it were a situation where, for example, my cousin's married, so I don't pop up on her. She knows it's just me and the kids at the house. Hey, Kendra, I'm outside. Just because I know that because I'm respectful of the fact that she has a significant other, I just can't show up. It doesn't change what the regular thing is because there has not been an addition to my situation.
And so that could be me, like, internalizing it, right? Like,
feeling as guilty, like if I'm making a thing and you basically putting it on the other person.
Well, that's how I feel. I feel like I can't ask you to do something that I wouldn't do myself. So then I feel the guilt of that, or I feel conflicted in that, where now I'm setting a boundary. But I don't even want to adhere to the boundary when it's put on me. And I don't feel that I can ask somebody to do something that I don't want to do myself. So I either have to, not set the boundary and keep it open, or set the boundary and then also hold myself accountable to do the same thing to them that I would want them to do to me.
Or you have a conversation and say, this is the boundary. And because it would be something if I said, well, like, I would ask you, like, hey, like, let's say you live closer to where I am. Hey, I'm going to stop, because you have a husband. Hey, I'm going to stop by, and I'm just going to park my car, right? But let me ask you first, because I don't know what if you guys have something going on. I've told you, girl, if you got to go to D.C., why don't you drive to my house and just park in front of my house? Right. No questions, like, just park in front of the house. Especially if I know your car, LaToya here, whatever. If I have anything going on, we would have had the conversation. Oh, girl, I'm having a party this weekend, or we're doing such and such, whatever. If I've given you the open invitation, that open invitation has not changed because nothing has changed in my life. If I know something has now changed in your life, as your friend, I'm understanding to the new boundary that.
But I don't think family operate the same way.
Well, family is supposed to be friends.
They are, but I'm saying I think family feels I think family feels more comfortable. Meaning, I think my family feels like, okay, so you married now. He's a part of, like y'all, he's going to get on board with what we have established. Even though that's not the case, I think that's kind of how they go into it. Like, because there's a lack of boundaries, everybody that comes into this, it has bought into the idea of this lack of boundary space.
And that's the thing. So a lot of times, I think I was listening to something on TikTok where a lot of times when the new person comes in, that you're coming into that person's family,
Mm-hmm.
when in all actuality we're
Blending families. No.
We're starting our own family.
Oh, we're creating our own family. This is a new unit, separate from both origin families.
This is our family.
Right.
So, but in our culture, child, welcome to our family.
Yeah.
Right? And so you kind of get sucked up.
Yeah.
Sucked up into that. So, but yeah,
But it's a work in progress, right? Like
it's all of it is.
Even though I'm saying these things, I'm not saying I'm just going to continue to just be like, oh, whatever. Like, this is something that I have struggled with. But the end goal is to get to a place where I do feel comfortable with boundaries on both sides, and setting them where necessary.
Right.
And if that means not having to communicate with family, it would be hard for me. But I think, like the girl said, it's even harder for me to disrespect my own boundaries.
Yeah.
So it would just have to be done.
Better.
Yeah.
You gotta love yourself better. So just to lighten it up a little bit, because we can go down a rabbit hole. I wanted to ask you a question because, child, I was, and I'm guilty of it. I am. Put me in jail because I'm guilty of it. I was in a store and this couple was all over each other.
Really?
I said, "Oh, get a room." What? But then I have to reflect because
what store were you at?
I think it was like a Walmart or something.
Okay, because that makes a difference.
Yeah, it wasn't.
I mean, a little bit, but not a lot. Like, hold my hand.
Okay.
We could hug.
Okay.
We could maybe do a little pat.
Okay.
I mean, anything more than that.
It's a little raunchy for you?
Yeah, I'm kind of over it.
Okay.
He might do like a little butt tap.
Okay.
I might do a little butt tap, but
Now, would you do it in line, or would it have to be like down the aisle where nobody was?
I'm probably maybe like if we in line, we the last person in line, so like there's nobody behind us. Yeah.
I am the in the line, in between people. Now I don't go to the far as like French, like slobbing each other down and stuff like that, but I think I just like. I be touching.
But I do too, but in public though?
Yes, girl. And I think because it's so funny to me when people squirm and stuff because they be embarrassed. Now, if you try to embarrass me, we gonna have a problem.
Oh God.
But I be embarrassing him, and I be doing stuff that I know he hate, and it just cracks me up. But I don't want to see y'all doing it.
That's a double standard.
Get your hands off of him.
I would be a little weirded out too. I
don't know if I like seeing it.
It just depends on where we are. Honestly, it depends on where we are. If we on a date and it's giving like romantic vibes, then I don't really care.
Restaurant, you ain't tripping.
Yeah, at a restaurant I'm not really tripping. But if we're like at Walmart,
keep your hands to yourself.
For the most part. For the most part.
Yeah,
I mean, you could do a little handhold. You could do a little like small of my back. But for the most part, like let's keep it PG.
I will say that I like seeing a couple be a couple. Like don't stand like brother and sister. Like is that true? Like be a couple, but unnecessary slob downs.
Now, the caveat is when I get tipsy.
Okay, listen, I'm all over the place. I don't care who's around. I don't care who. I have to talk to. Girl, you got to slow down.
And it's to me, I'm embarrassed because I know that I don't normally act like that, but for whatever reason,
all inhibitions to the wind.
And then I'm just like,
touch me, please me.
I'd be like, I gotta go home because
it's on.
It's on.
It's on. And then you know the bad thing. By the time you get home, you're tired.
That's true.
Because I done drove. You done fucked up because we done drove somewhere. Night.
I be sleep in the car.
Don't let me fall asleep in the car. It's over for everybody.
Yeah. I don't
want to see it.
No. I don't want to watch people doing that.
I get it.
I didn't even talk about going out. So before we wrap it up.
Wrap it up.
This past weekend, I did get a chance to go to Pop Up and Grow.
Okay.
Which is like a vendor market.
Okay.
And I just wanted to bring it up because I have on this girl's shirt, which I thought was super cute for Black History Month. Okay. And so,
and what's it saying?
Chocolate.
Okay.
Like chocolate. Like I'm lit.
Lit.
But I'm chocolate.
Okay.
100% melanin.
Okay.
Period. But the vendor was Sophia Brown. I think her business is called Sophia, SEW _ Sophia on socials.
Okay.
And I bought some things from her before, and I just really like this. And it's Black History Month, and I wanted to put her out there as a small business owner. I have vended with her also at Pop Up and Grow a couple of times.
Okay.
With my candles.
Okay.
And I haven't talked about it much on here, but I do have a candle company.
And they smell delightful.
And so I've done that before, but this time I just went in to shop and to support some other vendors. And so since I had her shirt on, I just wanted to shout that out. Yeah.
Sweet. And we'll try to make sure we have her information.
Oh yeah, I'll drop it in the description.
Yeah. Opportunity to check her stuff out because that's cute. That's chocolate and latte. That's always it. So that wraps up another wonderful period. So listen, we done said this at the top. We want you to like, subscribe, join the community. Add people to the community.
Hit the notification button.
And also, like, engage with us. Like, some suggestions that we got from family and friends of things that we needed to add.
Here's what y'all do. Y'all will text us, call us, and hop in our personal DMs. But we need you to interact with us on this platform. Get into the YouTube comments.
Yes.
Go to Thoughts in the Glass. The Instagram is back up. Go to the Thoughts in the Glass on Instagram. Get into, comment on the post on there. Get into the DMs over there. We do appreciate all of the feedback, but because y'all know us, y'all have been hitting us up, but we need the algorithm to know that people are interacting with us. Because
we can only grow our community so much. Mm-hmm. It's time for the hands at B, the websites at B, to be able to push us forward on the For You pages, on the suggested podcast, so that we can kind of get our community to get as big as the Lord allows. So, and with that being said,
drink to that.
Drink to that.